Hey guys, it's Matt with Titan Terrain Studio. I am here with another Infinity Plastcraft building tutorial. Today we're going to be doing the TME double module. This is the larger of their base buildings, and I've already taken it out of the packaging, so we're going to just jump head in on this one. Alright, so in the last tutorial video, I went over how you go about doing all the removal of the excess foam from the edges and the cutting out of everything. So in this video I just went ahead and skipped ahead and did all that ahead of time. So now I'm just going to show you how the basic construction of this goes. These are the main walls for the piece. So what we're going to start with is we're going to grab some glue, and we're just going to put a little bit of glue along this inner wall right here, right there, and right there. Then we're going to grab one of these little side walls. I like to grab the one with the door because tactically having a door at one end and having a door at the other end makes it just more interesting. We're going to put those right there. And they should grab pretty quickly. And we can set that off to the side and let it dry while we do the same thing with these. Pardon the cough, I have been getting over an extremely bad sinus infection. Spring is that time of year where your body decides to tell you, oh, you're not going to be breathing very well for the next couple weeks. Okay, so now that those are glued together, we're going to take all these parts and set them to the side, make a little room, and we're just going to take and glue the box together. So same thing. You're just doing it to these edges. Let's put them all together. This kit goes really fast. The last video was a little long because I wanted you guys to understand all the intricacies, and I did the balconies kit first because it was one of the more simple yet complex kits. It had the most varied techniques in it, because you had all the basics that I had to cover with the Plastcraft terrain, and then you also had the curved aspect, which you don't see in a lot of terrain sets these days. I really like how they figured out how to do that. Admittedly, I was a bit skeptical about how easy it would be to do it, but they've built these really well, and I was very pleasantly surprised at how well they went together. Then just give that another second or two, and alright, so the box is formed. We're going to set that off to the side. Over here you have the roof, which is this piece. Now the way you can tell that this one is the roof is, let's get it from the right angle, is it has the ones in the corners right here, whereas the floor, what we're about to put in, has the hex pattern in the center right there. So now we're going to flip this upside down, and this is where it gets interesting. And make sure your dry fit works well first with this, especially for this piece, because if there's some excess that you missed, or if you didn't glue it together quite flush enough, then it won't fit and it'll look really bad when you put it together. So let's pull that back out now that we know that it's good and flush. And I'm gonna just line these areas, a little bit of glue. So this will be what really holds the piece together, is adding the floor. The roof will be kept separate because it's designed to be removable, just for gameplay. The actual construction for this kit goes really fast. The only thing that takes a little bit of time, we're going to add on here You're adding to these inner ones on this piece because it's going to hit just bare areas on the inside. So you want a little bit of glue on there. That way when you've put it in there and it's all dry, you end up with a very stable piece. Hands are a little shaky at the moment. I'm also really looking forward to the Hawk Islam themed set that they've been releasing pictures of. I'm really hoping to get a hold of some of that in the future. Alright, so now we just slide this in. You gotta be quick about it because you don't want any of the edges to glue down and grab in the wrong spots. Just make sure you're squeezing it all in to where everything's touching where it should be. Usually if you have any problems with that, you can just, pop something into place really with a little bit of a push. So. Alright, I think that's pretty good. So now you have the base of the building completely done. Now we're going to start gluing in all of the windows and door frames. Now, I like to actually glue in the back side because it's smoother. So, that's personal preference. I'm just going to put a little glue around here. Dry fitting is always a thing, especially with these windows and doors. You want to make sure that you dry fit them the first couple of times you do these. Once you kind of learn where they're going to fall, you're going to realize exactly how to put them in just right. Oh, see, I was out of the camera. I'm sorry about that. But there you go. You can see that is in place now. Let's move my workspace over here a little closer to you guys so you can see what I'm doing better. Alright. Same thing for the doorway. I'll end up doing at least one more tutorial of these before this set is complete, probably. I believe the next one that I will be doing is going to be one of the curved roof toppers for the modular set buildings. It's kind of like a little, actually I built one earlier, so I'll show you that here at the end of the video. Alright, so there's that one. This other little doorway. And the important part with these doorways is to make sure that they fit the door, but not unevenly. So if they fit unevenly, they'll look weird. Okay, so there's that one. And now the last window. Oh, I was trying to move it and tilt it and make sure it was in place, and accidentally it had a little bit more grab than I thought it would. So I'll just put that back on. It was still wet, so. was slightly uneven. Alright. So, there's all the windows and doors. So now we're going to set this off to the side for a minute, and we are going to go ahead and build the roof. I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, what's going on the roof? So we're going to pull all of these little sort of squarish rectangular pieces over here. These all go onto the roof. These are sort of like the cornerstones and some of the walls for the center long area. So this one will actually come over here. Alright, so the way these work is you take two of these and you're just going to glue them together like that in a corner. Pretty simple. The smaller version of this is pretty much along the same route. I wanted to show you the big one so that you got an understanding of how the roof works for the big one, because the only difference between the roofs for the big one and the little one are that the little one does not have these longer pieces. So I'll set that one there while it dries. Really looking forward to finishing this set and getting it all painted up and modded. Got a bunch of stuff that I'm going to be using to mod it. I'm going to be using some of the excess foam. If you do decide that you like to mod the terrain, hold on to the bigger frames of the excess foam, because that'll give you some perfect material to use, because it cuts really easily as well, I found. The new Hawkislam set they're going to be building is going to be pretty cool as well. It's got a lot more curved pieces in it than this set. This set's more blocky than that one. That one's got a lot more of what do you call it? Filigree, I guess, like Middle Eastern style filigree designs all over it. Okay, so we'll start with. Put these over here while they finish drying. We're going to start with these. So all we're going to do is you want to put along this back edge on each of these, and then along this bottom edge. The bottom edge is going to touch there, while these back edges are actually going to touch along the sides. Slide that on there. You kind of want to angle it a little bit. Well, not angle it, you want it straight. But I like holding it at an angle because it lets me put pressure on the top, but also lets me put pressure on these bottom sides to make sure they're in there good. So it ends up looking like that. And we just do the same thing on the other side. And we're almost done with this at this point. These buildings are really easy to put together, which is what I really like about them. You can pretty much just, normally what I'll do when I'm doing these types of buildings is I will turn on some music, or I'll turn on maybe like some sort of TV show that doesn't require me to actually watch it, like, you know, Star Trek or House or something like that. I especially like Star Trek because you can listen. 90% of Star Trek is what they're talking about. I mean, there's some action involved, but you can pretty much do any type of projects that you're working on while watching those shows or listening to those shows. Audiobooks are also useful. So as you can see, what I'm doing here is I'm doing the same thing, putting glue along the bottom edge and then along this back edge, so that when it grabs hold, it's grabbing hold of all the surface areas it's touching. That's the most important part about this type of terrain, is to make sure you've got glue in all of the surface areas and that it's very well bonded. As long as you do that, you can't go wrong with this stuff. Oop, got a little glue on my hand. Just wipe that off. I think we've all experienced the joy that is numb fingers covered in super glue. No tactile sense whatsoever. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and get these other two put in now. So the remaining things we have to do is the set piece comes with a ladder and 2 ramps. So we're going to put those together last. Actually, it comes with 3 ramps, I forgot. It comes with 2 small ramps and a big ramp. So last piece going on right there. Okay, so now let's just leave that over to the side to dry for a moment as we get the ladder pieces together. So ladder piece consists of a long ladder cutout, which is just, you know, the little slots, and then these 2 little hooked pieces. The cool thing about these hooked pieces is once you put it all together, you can just hang it on the side of a building from its top. Now this one's pretty cut and dry. We just put a little glue along this side. Now, as I've said before in my previous tutorial, you want to make sure that whenever you cut these out, you want to make sure you're putting the side that you didn't push them through on out front. You want to pick one edge on both sides. It doesn't really matter, it's preference. I pick the inner edge. And you want to slide them on. I like to do it when it's sitting down because it gives me more control. Alright, so there's that. And glue on the other side as well. And we do the same thing here. Alright, and there's your ladder. We're going to set that off to the side and let it dry. Now let's grab the 3 ramps. So these are pretty straightforward. I believe we even did some in the other video as well. And that one only had one of the big ramps. So we're just going to put glue on here and get these put together. Going off the camera. Oops, sorry. You do it this way. It's really up to preference what you're most comfortable with. The important part with these is there's a line that they've drawn in with the cutting machine for decoration. So you want that to be facing out. The only. Then again, maybe you don't want it to do that. Maybe you like flat and you just want to turn them inside out. Me, I'm doing them with the extra decoration because it'll just, you know, when I start going in and doing All sorts of interesting metal effects on these ramps. Kind of get a paneled look going. So there's that, and then we got these over here. Same thing going on. And these ramps, you know, when you glue them together, they might not be perfect, but they stand and they support your models. You know, I'm not one of those people that's like super particular about them being perfect, so I tend to just put them on there, and as long as they stand up, that's fine. But they'll stand up as long as you hold them together just right. So there you go. I personally like mine to have a little bit of bow in them, mostly because then you really make sure the piece is, you know, it's not going to tilt over or something like that. Okay. And the last ramp piece. Okay, so now that we've got all these pieces constructed, I'm going to show you the completed product. You're also wondering probably, what are these little things for over here? Well, that's kind of an interesting thing. So you go ahead and you slide this in. This is built to be modular like this, so you can pull it in and out. And here's the really cool thing. These are window and door templates that you can just slide right in. Paint them up. You can put them in scenarios. You know, like they have to spend a short skill in Infinity to be able to open the doors. And all you do whenever you want to do that is you just put them in there. Now, you do not want to glue the ramps in. The reason why is because these guys are built to stack on top of each other. So when you glue the ramps in, you basically kill your ability to keep it modular. Just taking the extra time to scoot it under there looks just as good. Then you have this this little guy right here. He can just pretty much hang out on any surface. You can put him in, I mean, you don't want to put him in front of the window unless, you know, you're trying to block the window or something. But you pretty much move him to any point along and just hang him up. And the cool part is, unless you're like me and, you know, put all sorts of basing embellishments on there, if you just go flat bases, these are the exact size of the bases that Infinity uses, so you can just slide your model in and actually have him climb the ladder. So that is the TME double module. I will be doing one more of these, I believe, here shortly. And thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more Infinity.